Hi friends, this is Prem. Today we are going to discuss about the very important topic. The US Embassy or Consulate has started rescheduling lot of interviews. From the morning we are getting lot of comments from the viewers saying their interview has been rescheduled from December to March or December to April or December to May. Just imagine they are rescheduling 6 months from now. But the people are already in India. If their visa got expired already, they are not able to come back to the USA. And we are going to discuss those questions with our attorney, Henry. He is from Manifest Law. Manifest Law is giving a free consultation for you. If you have any visa questions or any interview related question, just scan this QR code and schedule your interview. It's totally free. Vanakkam, Henry.
Vanakkam, Prem.
Thanks for being here, because I know it's very short notice. When I hear the lot of comments from the people in the morning, the first thing in my mind is like, hey, Henry, okay, just like call Henry and just schedule a meeting today, because a lot of people ask a lot of questions. Before going to the question, Henry, can you please give us some hint over what is happening on the Department of State side or the Embassy or Consulate side?
The quick summary of it would be that previously we were talking about the social media reviews becoming part of the H1B and H4 visa applications. Okay, so that means everybody now has to make their social media profiles public, and then the embassy officers or consular officers have to look at those profiles when they are deciding on the visa approval or denial, right? And in practical terms, it means that somebody at the embassy has to spend time going through your Instagram and your YouTube and your Facebook and so on. And it's not like they all of a sudden hired many new people. So it just means it's creating a bottleneck. There is the same amount of people in the consulate as there were a month ago, but now those same amount of officers have to do more things every day. And all of a sudden, lots of people writing online saying that their interviews have gotten canceled. They got new interview dates in February or March. Really, I think it's just for the officers to empty some of the calendar so they have more time so they can do the social media review. Right? So it just means there's limited resources and they need more time to go through the applications.
Yeah, it's clearly understandable. So it is only for the H1B and H4 interviews, right? The remaining interviews like the student visa or B1, B2 or L visa, there is no issue on those visas, right?
The only reports I've heard are people for H1B or H4 being cancelled and rescheduled. I have not heard any disruption or issues with the student visas or any other visa categories.
Exactly. We also confirm the same information with our viewers. So far only the H1B and H4 visas has cancelled from the embassy or consulate and they rescheduled. It is really surprising because someone planned for the vacation now because it's a holiday time, right? So many people plan for
the vacation. Everybody's got their Christmas plans. They are taking time off, going to see their families and planning to come back maybe early January. And now how are you going to get back if you don't have a visa?
Exactly. One of the viewer asked this question, Henry. Say he is having the valid visa till January 15, but now he's in India and his interview got rescheduled to May 2026. His question is like whether can he enter now with the valid visa till January 15, 2026 and the valid I-797 approval till 3 years from now, that is 2029.
Yes, that is actually an option. Better to have the visa that has a longer validity, but as long as the 797 has several years to go, then legally speaking, you can use that visa stamp in the passport until January 15. There is no legal requirement that the visa itself has to be valid for a long period of time. You can use it until the last day that the visa is valid. The law just says that they usually want to see a passport that is valid for more than 6 months from your date of entry, right? So they don't want you to enter the country if your passport is expiring next week. But if your passport is still valid for a long time, you can use that visa that is expiring in January to show CBP and to show the airline staff that you have a valid visa, you have an approval notice that is valid for a longer period of time, and you should be able to travel with that. So that just means that maybe you do the holiday trip now, and then you have to go back in May for that new visa stamp.
Whether the CBP officer will give the I-94 as per the I-797 approval date?
Yes, they should be giving you the full approval based on the 797 or your passport validity date. right? So that is one more thing to check, because if you have visa expires in January, 797 expires in 2028, let's say, but your passport expires in 2027, they're probably going to limit your I-94 to the passport expire in 2027, because you're not allowed to be in the United States on an H1B with an expired passport. So they usually always look at the passport date and limit to that one. And that means that once you get a new passport, you might have to exit and re-enter, and then you can use up the full 797.
Totally makes sense, Henry. Say example, this is H1B we are discussing. If the same situation for H4, the valid visa till January, can H4 use H1B I-797 approval notice to enter?
Yes, same thing. As long as there is either they are traveling with the H1B, or if they're traveling without, then at least having a copy of that 797 approval notice with them, then they are still able to travel like that.
Other question asked by our viewer, whether they can expedite or ask the emergency appointment from embassy or consulate saying I have to deliver my project on January or February. Is there any possibility to ask them?
Most consulates do have a process. I think it's in that same portal where you do the appointment scheduling. There is usually a button somewhere on the portal. The portals look a little bit different because different embassies use different software. Yeah. But usually there's a button somewhere there that says request to expedite or expedite request. And there are some options for what is the reason for the request. Usually they limit the expedite requests to medical emergencies or some kind of serious life and death situations, things like that. I have seen portals where they have a request for a business emergency, and that would require you to have some kind of documents to prove that this is a really big deal, right? So if it's just a normal travel for a holiday, and you have some kind of a project in the company that's just your responsibility, that's probably not going to be enough in order for them to actually approve the expedite request and take it seriously. You would need maybe a letter from some manager in the company explaining what is the big emergency, what is the bad result that is going to happen if you are not able to travel. To give you an example, during the COVID pandemic, I was working on a case for somebody who was in a company that was making equipment like clothing and the face masks and things for the US military. And the person that was traveling was the person who was managing the supply chains, which obviously was very problematic during the pandemic because many of the shipments were not coming and things like that. So we had to do an expedite request for an embassy interview, and we had a letter explaining that the U.S. military is waiting for supplies, and if I can't go and do my job, then the U.S. military might not get the supplies they need because my job is critical for that. So this one, 2 days and we got an interview, no problem, right? But if you're just saying, hey, I'm going for a festival and I would really like to get back fast or else I get fired, then they would say, then don't go, right? So they, unfortunately, everybody would like it faster. So that means the embassy is only going to approve the expedite request if there's something very, very high priority.
I can understand. So it's really very, very high priority, and it should be supported by the employers as well as the managers. Yeah, I can understand that one, Henry. Say example, now people got stuck in India. They can come only after their interview, March or April or May, whatever the date. But if their employer asks them to work from India, is it allowable to work from India on the status?
Yes. Under US immigration law, none of the immigration rules apply to you unless you are physically inside the United States. Whether you have a visa, whether you have a 797, if you are in India, US immigration law doesn't apply to you. So that means if your employer says they are okay with it, then you can work from India and there's no issue. From the company perspective, the longer you work in India, the higher the risk that the Indian government will come to the employer and say, you now have to start paying something because they want the payroll taxes or something to go to India rather than going to the United States. From a personal perspective, for the person who is stuck in India, same rule applies, right? If you are making money while you are in India, I don't know what are the rules in India, but maybe the government will say maybe you have to pay some income tax, right? If you are there for a long period of time, maybe you have to pay something. So that's where it gets very complicated because you already have the payroll tax in one place. And if multiple countries are asking for the taxes, who are you going to pay, or what's going to be the bill? That's the complicated part. I don't know really what the companies are going to say about that, right? Are they planning for this, or do they have an alternative?
Sure, yeah, I can understand a lot of legality involved in this, but as long as the employer okay with that, then they can do it. So there is no issue on the US immigration. That is very good news, at least because a lot of people ask this question.
I would basically recommend people to connect with their HR. Right. As soon as possible and start asking questions about what is the company policy and how are they going to handle this, right? Are they going to help us? Are they going to allow us to work remotely? If there's somebody who is in the US right now and already has the travel plans and maybe their interview is coming up in a few weeks, they should ask the company if it's okay for them to travel, or what should they do, right? I earlier today, I had somebody actually send me this email from one of my clients. They said, hey, I have an interview just a few days before Christmas, and I want to know if it's okay for me to travel. And luckily, this person, same thing, they have a visa stamp already. So even if their interview ends up getting canceled, they can come back and it's not going to be an issue. But if you're right now inside the United States, you don't have a visa stamp, then I would say it's very risky for you to go, because what if you go and then you lose your job because the company says you can't come back and we are not going to wait for 5 months, right? So people have to be very careful about that.
Yeah, that's a very, very good advice, Henry. Thank you. And I have the other questions. Say you are saying like they are taking more time to review the social media review for each and every applicant. So is there a more chance the applicants can get 221G?
Because they are right now rescheduling the interview, I think they are taking the time to review these profiles before the interview even happens, right? So that means, hopefully that means not getting an increase in the 221G, but especially if you do not change your profiles to public, then I think you're going to get a 221G admin processing, basically, because they will tell you at the interview, we tried to look at your social and we couldn't access it. So we are not giving you the visa until you switch it to public, and that's going to cause more delay.
Yeah, thanks, Henry. From the day one when they release this policy, right, even you are saying, and we are also educating, please make it as public if you are having any visa interview or any visa processing inside the USA. USA is also going to review the social media platform for the each and every applicant, right?
Yeah, so from USCIS, I think in the future we might be seeing requests for evidence if your profiles are not public, right? You could file a change of status or extension of status, and then USCIS maybe sends an RFE and says, we tried to do the review of your social media and we could not access it, so please, either send copies of your profiles or make sure they are public so that we can access before we make a decision.
Exactly. So after the unfortunate event at Washington DC, so they are very strict about social media reviews. If you are having either the visa appointment or any visa processing inside the USA, please make it as public. Encourage everyone to call to the Manifest Law. It's a free consultation for you. They can explain in detail. Thanks, Henry. You shared a lot of information. Thank you.
My pleasure. Always good to be here.
Nandri.
Nandri.